One of golf's most innovative brands, Cobra, has just dropped an entirely new family. We've got DS-ADAPT, and in this video we're going to take a look at the four new drivers and one big twist. Right, so what are these four models? Well, first of all, we've got the LS model. Now, this is the more compact, low spinning model, and it's got these three adjustable weights on the sole so you can really fine tune your spin. Next up, we've got the DS-ADAPT X. Now, this is probably going to have the broadest appeal across the range. It's kind of a mid-spin, mid-launch profile. And once again, we've got these two interchangeable weights to help you really dial in your requirements. Next up, we've got the DS-ADAPT Max D, and as the name would suggest, this is about maximum draw. So everything's set up here, lie angle, head weighting, this fixed weight in the heel is designed to help you get that kind of anti-slice feel. And finally, this intriguing new model, the Max K. Now, I think this one's come out in response to the success of drivers like the TaylorMade QI10 Max and the Ping G430 Max 10K. And this one is all about MOI and forgiveness. So what's new in terms of the tech story? Well, Cobra are telling us we've got some really improved aerodynamics and a much more advanced hot phase. And here comes the twist. So Cobra has introduced what it's calling Future Fit 33, which essentially is a new loft sleeve adapter, whatever you want to call that. And for the first time with a Cobra adapter, it offers you the ability to decouple loft and lie. And as the name would suggest, it's got a whopping 33 settings. So to put that into context, Titleist have 16 available settings, TaylorMade have 12, and Callaway only have 8. Now, when I first heard about this sleeve, I was intrigued, but I was immediately a little bit concerned as to whether the average consumer might find it simply too confusing or too much to want to wrap their head around. But clearly Cobra thought that too, so they've produced a really simple and easy to follow chart if you are looking to fit yourself into this product that they're referring to as the mandala. Now, this chart or mandala is available in a sort of card printed form, but what is very Cobra is that on each of these heads, there's a QR code laser etched into the head, which if you scan that will take you to a really simple to follow and intuitive app that will guide you through the various loft settings and lie settings that are available. And that to me is very, very Cobra, always pushing the boundaries and looking for something new. So basically, if you're trying to fit yourself using this new loft sleeve, what Cobra are saying is you need to find out on that chart or mandala where your ball flight sits, and then go over to the opposite side and find the corresponding setting, and that will provide you with the optimal flight correction from there. So that's how they're helping you fit yourself, but a lot of you looking to purchase new drivers out here will probably go down the custom fit route, so you don't even have to think about that. So think of it as a bonus that your fitter now has so many more options to get you dialed in correctly. As I mentioned earlier, the Future Fit 33 sleeve allows you to decouple loft and lie, but what do I mean by that? Well, on a lot of manufacturers' sleeves, when you start to move the loft around, you actually start to alter the lie angle, which can have a significant effect on the start line and curvature. But Cobra's 2-cog system here allows you to do that independently of one another. So around the sleeve, another thing that Cobra have done to address what you can do with the head is they've invented what they call their smart pad technology. Now, again, on a lot of other manufacturers' sleeves, once you start to alter loft, not only are you altering lie, you can also alter the face angle, by which I mean how open or closed it sits at address. But what Cobra have done is they've introduced some really clever sole contouring that allows whatever setting you put this driver in or these drivers in to sit perfectly square at address still. So this is all very clever stuff, and that's what Cobra are saying about their drivers. But what do I think of them? So visually, in truth, when I first put this whole DS-ADAPT range in behind the ball, I wasn't totally blown away by the aesthetic. Now, this is all purely subjective, but I tend to prefer a much more rounded, almost circular driver nowadays. And what you get with the DS-ADAPT range, much like you did with Dark Speed, is a more angular or even triangular head shape. Now, whilst that's not necessarily a look that I love, it is all subjective. And I know there's loads of you out there who really like that angular look, including double senior major champion Richard Bland, who I recently did a What's in the Bag with, and he absolutely loves that about his older Dark Speed driver. One other final thing that I'm going to pick up on the appearance is in the address position, these little banner strips at the front where you get these multi-material crowns. I think you've got to be careful with those. For this one, for me, it just pinches in a little bit too much on the heel. There's too much intrusion from that strip there. And all that does is just draw your eye to it. It does affect the profile. It's something small, but it's something that I noticed. However, in the bag position or in the Pro Shop shelf position, the shelf appeal is absolutely still exceptional as it was in the Dark Speed range. I love how clean it is. I love the use of carbon, and the graphics are just perfect. I also really like the clever color coding system that Cobra used throughout their range to differentiate the models. So the more compact low spinning LS has a little black accent color. When you go into the more core or standard X model, that's got a blue accent. The Max D, the draw model, has a red accent color, and in the new Max K, it's a silver. So it really helps to differentiate the range. Well, two things stuck out massively for me about the performance of this entire range, and the first of those is the feel and the acoustics. For some time now, driver technology in terms of ball speed has had limitations. So we are limiting the amount of COR or trampoline effect we can have on faces. So manufacturers are looking for little victories in different areas. And one of the areas they are trying to do that and have been doing so for the last couple of years is in the feel and the acoustics. And I think that Cobra have done an absolutely brilliant job this year. Through different cycles, we tend to flip-flop about between sounds and feels. Sometimes we get these quite harsh, tinny, high-pitched products. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we can get these dull, muted, sort of carbony, thuddy products. Now, what we've got here and what we had last year from Dark Speed was a really great sounding and feeling product, but I think they've elevated it again. Some more technology, some more work on the face. This really hits all the right notes for me. It's just that beautiful kind of mid-pitch, mid-tone strike. And it's almost kind of a clicky but soft feel, not too harsh, not too lively, just exactly where I would want it to be. They've done a great job there. Right, sorry to interrupt. If you're enjoying this review, please hit the like button. It really helps us. Subscribe to the channel and comment down below. Have you tried this new range yet? What do you think? The second standout feature of this range for me is just how well each model does its specific job. Sometimes in ranges, you get models that sit a little bit too close to each other in terms of their playing characteristics, and the lines can blur a little bit. And especially with the introduction of a fourth model here, that was a concern that I had. But as it happens, it was very much unfounded. So starting with the LS, and as the name would suggest, this is the low spin model. So what you'd be looking for from this is some really harsh, penetrating, low spinning ball flights that will hold their own into any headwind. And that is exactly what I got. Much like Dark Speed from last year, I actually struggled to get this spinning even above 2,000 revs per minute, and that really produced that very penetrating ball strike. Now, as you would expect from one of these low spin drivers that has a very, very forward CG location, mishits can be just that little bit more volatile. But as with the Dark Speed from last year, it's far from unplayable. And the profile of player that's going to go into a head like this is probably likely to hit the middle enough to be able to manage that. And on a final note, as I will probably say about every model again and reiterate, the feel from this is exquisite. Now onto the X, which is essentially going to be the core or the standard model within the range. And once again, it did exactly what it said on the tin for me. It produced a nice sort of mid-level of spin and launch and was just a touch more playable in more conditions for me than the LS model. One thing I really love about this X range is the versatility these two little adjustable weights provide. In the neutral setting with the lighter weight forward, you've got a really sort of safe fairway finder with a lot of stability with 10 grams at the back and 3 at the front. But flip those over and you really see a genuine change in the spin. I was experiencing about 150 to 200 RPM change, which is not insignificant. And it actually then produces something that sits between the X and the LS, an LSX, if you will, something that's just got a little bit of a lower spin profile, but still keeps a little bit more MOI. And I really loved it in that setting. Once again, as I'll say, without this entire range, the feel again is superb. Now onto the Max D model. Now, once again, talk about smashing your brief. This is all about creating an anti-slice product, and everything within this screams that. From the lie angle to this fixed weight in the heel, it is so difficult for me as a right-hander to get this ball moving right. Now, what I would say is that was the case with Dark Speed last year. I put that down as probably my most anti-slice driver of 2024. And this has certainly not let the side down, if not enhanced that a little bit more. One downside is if you've got this driver and you've got it in the furthest left setting on the mandala and you're still hitting a slice, well then it might be time to take up pickleball. And this highlights what I'm speaking about this range in general. There is nothing subtle about the models. Each one of these models does exactly and blatantly what it tells you it's going to do, which I love. Now the wild card, the new driver, the Max K. Now this has come off the back of a huge push in 2024 from other manufacturers into this super high MOI or quest for 10K moment of inertia and forgiveness. Drivers like the TaylorMade QI10 Max, the Ping G430 Max 10K. And now Cobra have joined the party. With this big fixed weight back here, they've pulled that CG right back and they've arguably created their most forgiving driver of all time. And I can tell you from personal experience, it really, really works. The stability on this thing is absolutely astounding. And believe you me, I tested it. I really hit some poor shots off the toe and some poor shots off the heel. And over quite a few sessions in a number of different circumstances, my groupings were consistently really, really tight. Now, truth be told, I did find the spin number a little bit high on this for me. So products I've tested, like the Ping G430 Max 10K, do a similar job in terms of stability with a little bit of a lower spin number, which make that model accessible kind of across the ranges, from your high handicappers who need that forgiveness to even some better players who are a bit quicker like me, still being able to play that and keep the spin down. I would say I don't think this will cross over quite as well, but realistically, what Cobra are targeting here are some slower swing speed players who need just that little bit more forgiveness. And for those type of players, I think it will do an astonishing job. And why not? Let's complete the set. It feels brilliant like all of the other range. That's the real key takeaway for me here. So there you have it. There's my first impressions of the Cobra DS-ADAPT range. Now, first things first, Future Fit 33, you try saying that, really, really works, but it's never in doubt. To be honest, every loft sleeve in all the manufacturers works to a certain extent. What was in doubt was the complexity of it and whether the average consumer would be able to understand it. Now, Cobra have taken care of that really, really well with the mandala and in a very Cobra way with that accessible QR code app to explain it to people. And another thing I really loved was the smart pad technology. So when you are in any of those 33 settings, you can still get that club face to sit perfectly square. So overall for me, despite my personal preferences on drivers steering me into more rounded heads, the performance on offer here is really difficult to ignore. As I said, the range does exactly what it's supposed to do and blatantly between each model. Plus, it's one of the best feeling ranges of driver I've ever tried. This is a great start to launch season. Well done, Cobra.